I would say that you have to adapt because it's ever changing, right? And so rates go up, they come down, the inflation changes by the day, and
Yeah.
people decide that they're not going to buy the second home that they were going to, or they're not going to move because of job changes or whatever. And so I think it's just so important that you have to adapt constantly.
Welcome back to Simple Chat. I'm Sydney. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Simple Lending Financial, and today I'm also the host of Simple Chat. Today I have Ashley here with me, who Ashley is the realtor for Galveston. Yeah, I'm excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay, first question. What first drew you into real estate?
So my grandfather is a big-time real estate investor. So I kind of grew up around it. I had no idea that I would actually end up in real estate, but I've kind of been exposed to it. And then as I got kind of in my late teens, early 20s, he was like, "You really should be a real estate agent." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." And I was in banking at the time. So I have been on the lending side of things. So it's a whole other story for another day.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't for me though. So I can tell you that, obviously. But I kind of tossed around the idea and I was like, there's so much competition. I feel like everyone knows 5,000 agents. And I feel like,
Yeah.
like you would know. And you can go into a room and everyone's like, oh yeah, my cousin's aunt or somebody, right? And so I was like, there's so much competition. I'm not even going to worry about that. And then I met my now husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. And he gave me kind of like that final push. And he was like, I think you would be really good. I was like, I'm just going to try it. And I was hooked. So, I mean, I tossed it around for maybe like 8 years before actually pulling the trigger.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And so hindsight, I'm like, dang, all that lost time. But
Yeah.
things happen for a reason. So here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, you're all over social media. And I love watching the videos that you do and just stories too. You really show like the behind the scenes of one, like the work that you do for your own home, but then two, like what clients are building and everything there too. So how are you using social media to ensure that your listings and the properties that you're selling are standing out?
Sure. So I think it's very important to be everywhere. So to help your listings and your clients be able to get the best exposure, because you never know where a buyer is going to come from. So we're using behind the scenes and the coming soons and trying to document literally everything and kind of tell a story too. So and honestly, I'm not a fan of social media. Like if I didn't have to do this, I probably wouldn't have it, right? And so it's something that I've had to train myself to do and doing like constant content,
making it a part of the job.
It is, yeah, and it has to be. And I think that the agents that are phasing out or aren't as relevant as they once were is because they're not adapting to what you have to do, and that is being everywhere and showcasing your client's home. And that's your job when you're hired, is to tell a story, to find a buyer, to sell that home. And so that's how we're using social media to do that.
Yeah, nice. I like the storytelling too, because I think a lot of people forget about that. They forget to show where something might have come from and how it is now,
Right.
or even just like sharing the unique like quirks and everything that a property might have.
Yeah, and like just kind of location too. So
Yeah.
I think it's really important to showcase like how far is it from a certain restaurant, or if it's walking distance. And being in Galveston, it's like the walkability is so important too. Or if it's in town, what restaurants are nearby, or what coffee shops, or and kind of just inviting people to envision themselves living there.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, this next question is a loaded question. What's the biggest challenge in today's real estate market?
Oh goodness. I think that that's tough.
Yeah.
There's a few things. I would say that you have to adapt because it's ever changing, right? And so rates go up, they come down, the inflation changes by the day, and people decide that they're not going to buy the second home that they were going to, or they're not going to move because of job changes or whatever. And so I think it's just so important that you have to adapt constantly. And if you can't, then you're not going to be able to survive. And that's coming from obviously the real estate agent side of things. But if you're from a consumer standpoint, I think that right now what we're facing is just people accepting that rates are where they're at. And I think
Yeah.
this past year, I had a lot of clients that were like, oh, I'm just going to wait, right? So now they're realizing, okay, well,
Can I wait? Should I
yeah,
wait? Yeah.
should I wait? But rates are what they're at. And if you look
Yeah.
at history, they're actually not as bad as they once were, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and I don't think we're going to see twos or threes
Mm-mm, not
anytime
for
soon.
a while. Yeah.
If, yeah, it's going to be a long time. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think people back when the rates were like very, very low, a lot of people jumped on it and people are expecting for that to happen, but it's just
it's not
not.
going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Eventually, maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah.
So I think now it's just like, okay, I have to move, or I'm going to go ahead and jump on it. And then if rates do come down, you can always refinance.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, you can always refinance. I feel like on the investment private lending side, we run into the same exact issues where people are like, "Oh, I'm just waiting for rates so I can refinance. I'm waiting for them to reduce." But you can always refinance,
exactly,
So,
exactly.
and it's I guess it depends too, like if you're doing like a rate and term or if you're wanting to do a cash out. Like if you need the money, you need the money. So
Right.
just do it. But I mean, the next investment home, I think it's not always going to be there. So you just jump on
Right.
it. Yeah.
I think it's educating people too. And so that's also where content comes into play, is
Hmm.
just putting that content out there where people can be educated, because they don't
Yeah.
know if they don't know. And so just history on rates and what is the market looking like.
Yeah.
And right now, especially in my market, every market's a little different, but Galveston especially, buyers are getting deals right now because
Hmm.
there hasn't been a lot of movement. And
Yeah.
so now is the time to kind of jump on it. And then if rates do come down, when they come down, then you can refinance at that time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, last question for
Sure.
you. Of all the places that you can be, like one in Texas, two in Houston,
Mhm.
three in like South Houston, Southeast Texas, why Galveston? Obviously, it's a beach town, but I mean, it's not like Clearwater, Tampa. It's not like the
Right.
nicest one, but it's what we got here in Texas.
I
But
love
yeah.
Galveston. No, I think people, once you experience Galveston, and it's really
Yeah.
hard to like to even know what
Explain
I'm
that to
talking
people.
about until you're actually there.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have moved there or visited and they're like, "Oh, I see what you're saying now."
Yeah.
There's something about it. And I deal a lot with investors, second homes, but equally about 50% of the islands are full-time residents too. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of history. Tourism is great for those investment
Mm-hmm.
properties. Some of the locals have mixed feelings about that. I
Yeah.
do live on the island myself, but it helps, our island. And I would say that the history is so rich and there's just so much that you can go from, like the Strand and all these really cool old shops, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of restaurants and bars and coffee shops, and
Yeah.
there's so much. And then you can go to the West End and it's beach town and
Mm-hmm.
a completely different vibe. And so it kind of gives you, like everyone can find something that aligns with what they're looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So like the further that you go west, it's more quiet, not so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Galveston and the diversity and everything that it offers.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Galveston's great. Yeah, lots of history. I love seeing just all the old architecture and everything. I mean, I've done some exploring around Galveston
Mm-hmm.
too, so I can definitely say that the history is there.
Yeah.
That's where what was it? I think it was like Juneteenth or something
Mm-hmm.
started
Was
too, which
born
is
there. Yes.
yeah, which is
Yep.
really cool. Like, I mean, to have that in such a small
Mm-hmm.
space in like South Texas is just cool, like a cool part of history to
Yeah,
be a part of,
that
really.
is.
Hmm. Ashley, thank you so much for joining me today on Simple Chat. Where can everyone find you?
So Instagram, my handle, well, really everything is at Ashley Sells Galveston.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in. You can like, follow, subscribe. We'll have Ashley's Instagram handle where you can find her at in the bio, or maybe we'll put it up here. Yeah. Tune in for the next one.